I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do for me. And that creates an internal exhaustion that no matter how much you sleep, no matter what you do, you cannot have that go away until you start to feel yourself. Hey ladies, welcome back to another episode of B3 Boss Babies and Thoughts, while I talk about all things motherhood, entrepreneurial, and how to have fun with everything in between. I'm your host, Jessica with a Y, and I cannot wait to dive into today's topic. So make sure to grab your favorite cocktail, sit back, relax, and unwind. Let's have some fun. Welcome to today's episode of Boss Babies and Bottles. Today I'm talking about the ultimate, I think, thing that I've been dealing with lately, and that's like the feeling of mom shaming, right? And that goes together with just kind of as mothers, I now understand. Like I felt this before, but now as a mom, I feel I think a lot more. Like when you're feeling down, when you're just feeling tired sometimes, when you just kind of want to crawl in a hole and everything just disappear and just kind of be with yourself. At least for me, sometimes, I get to this point where and I was always one of these people that I love quiet. I love solitude. I enjoy being by myself. I'm really not one of those people that have to be surrounded. I'm super social butterfly, but at the same time, like I really enjoy having my alone time and doing those things. And now obviously not only being a wife, but being a mom and being a business owner, the amount of alone time I get is, well, none, really, if you think about it, especially with the kids being so young. And so, there are times where I know as moms, sometimes we don't talk about this, but, I kind of want to break that stigma a little bit where I know we all feel down. We all feel tired. We all just want to take a break, take something, like just kind of go somewhere, and just be alone, be by ourselves, or have someone not call us, call our names. I mean, you name it, right? And sometimes it's a lot. It's too much. You just kind of feel all that weight bearing down on you. I know I do, and it just I really have no words to describe it, because when I talk about it, I feel the emotion and it just gets to me deep inside, because it's just sadly one of those things that I feel like we have to deal with. I'm a strong believer that women have a harder life than men. And I know that I say this to my husband and he doesn't necessarily agree, but I think it's true. As women, we're expected to do just so much more. Back in the day, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Back in the day, women didn't raise kids on their own. They had help. They had the village, right? It takes a village. Like that came from somewhere. They had the village, they had the people that were helping, or they were able to have help in the whole thing. And nowadays, I feel like as women, we're expected to do it all. We're expected to, raise kids and have our careers or our businesses and just, be perfect and just have everything just in line. And that's not what it is. And I just guess I wanted to talk about this a little bit because some people have always said different things to me. And I'm just like, my life is definitely far from perfect. There's a lot of different things that happen in it. And I'm sorry that I even portray that my life is perfect, because that's really, at any point in time, that's not what I want it to be. Obviously I revel in the good moments and obviously all the good things that happen. And I work very hard. So I have these moments and obviously I share them, and I love spending time with my children and my husband. And so those are the moments I share, and maybe I should share more of when those moments are not happening, right? When there isn't perfection. And as women, I feel like we just are constantly, as mothers, picking ourselves back up again from the feeling of failure, from the feeling of exhaustion. The other day, I remember sitting there on the couch and just looking at my husband, David, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, I feel like I'm failing. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah, today I feel like a complete failure." And like some days, if let's say, work isn't going right, but of course I have, my kids, and of course I have my husband and whatever, then I'm like, then it's fine. If one of my three areas is off, then it doesn't bother me. But on a day where I feel like maybe all three of my areas are off, I'm like, are you kidding me? And I can't remember what happened between me and my husband that day. I assume we must have gotten over some sort of discussion of some sorts. But I was sitting there, and again, we fight about the craziest, dumbest things, and all married couples do. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I feel like a failure. And he's like, why? And I was like, man, we're fighting. And again, I cannot remember what we were fighting about. That tells you what it is. I know this happened about a month or so ago, and I'm just like, we got in a fight today, and I didn't have enough time to do everything I wanted to do for work, and they didn't even get to spend time with the kids, and so I just feel like a failure. I feel like I'm trying to do everything and I'm not doing anything. And that is just so true. I sat there and I was like, man, I barely accomplished anything for work and I didn't get to spend time with my kids. If at least I had gotten work done and not the kids, or kids, I got to spend time with them and I didn't get to do work, then, I feel some sort of accomplishment. But that day was just one of those days where I was just going back and forth between both things, trying to be with the kids and then also trying to work. And I felt like a complete failure. He looks at me, he's like, you're not a failure. Like, he's like, you do more than anyone else out there. And I'm just like, I know, but today I feel like a failure. And we can't stop ourselves from feeling like failures, I feel like sometimes. Because, at least for me, I'm one of those overachievers, whatever that means. And as much as like some days I'm like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to be an overachiever during this, I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. For whatever reason, there's something inside of me that just does not let me let things go. Feeling of being a failure was just really in me. And I also get to this point where I have this feeling of exhaustion, where I'm just like, I cannot do anymore. Like, I want to do more and I cannot do anymore. And it's not just sleep, because it's really not sleep. My kids are, thankfully, I did some sleep training and they're sleeping through the night. So it's not sleep. It's just overwhelming exhaustion. And the more I journaled, the more I realized it's because I was missing that self-care. And I'm not talking about the self-care that some of these women are talking about these days. Like, oh, buy Monet, it's self-care. I'm sorry if you sell Monet. That's not what I meant. That's just the only product that came to my mind, right? Or do this, get yourself a coffee because you deserve it. Treat yourself, this and that. I'm not talking about that kind of self-care. I'm talking about the self-care that we all need internally. So for me, that is silence. For me, that is journaling. For me, that is, sitting outside or taking a walk by myself or doing something like going even to Target without absolutely any reason to go, but just to walk around, as crazy as it sounds, but something that is purely for me. Because me going to the supermarket, which my husband thinks is me time, is not. I'm going there, I'm getting everything I need, and I'm hauling ass out of there. You know what I mean? Like, that's me going to the supermarket these days. So it's like I was getting this exhaustion, and I thought the exhaustion was coming from sleep, but it's not sleep deprivation. My exhaustion was coming from the fact that I wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't feeding my soul. I wasn't filling my love tank. I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do for me. And that creates an internal exhaustion that no matter how much you sleep, no matter what you do, you cannot have that go away until you start to fuel yourself. And that fueling of yourself is so important. And it's something that I had to be reminded about myself, in the last few weeks, really, because I was burning myself out in every sense of the way, in every way that I could. I mean, I've been just trying to do so much for myself, for the kids, for my husband, just like working out again, running my business. I take care of the kids. I only have help 3 days out of the 7 a week, and I'm just like making things happen. And, you'll see me and I'm working. I'm literally taking the kids for a walk and I'm on a call and I'm on my cell phone trying to handle things while I'm taking these kids for a walk. And then I'm in the playpen with them, working, hanging out with them. I'm trying to teach my daughter how to crawl. Ariela does not want to crawl for the life of her. She's army crawling at this current moment. And that's the best I've been able to do. And when I go to therapy with her, because when she was in the womb, she has this lack of neck muscle, which has affected her. And so now we're like getting her up to speed on everything. And so I see the difference between the two kids, and I can see like, just how much I need to push her, and just, having to do that every single day, plus doing their bottles, plus doing the laundry, plus taking care of the house, plus making sure I spend time with my husband, because, we all want to stay married, plus making sure the dog is fed. And I change the dog's pads. I mean, like, it's such small things, but at the end of the day, by the time the kids go to bed, by the time I'm done with everything, I just sit there and I'm exhausted. And it's not from sleep, and it's not physical. It's everything. It's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritually. I'm like, it's an exhaustion and that feeling of failure. And we all feel that like mothers. And I know, we all just gotta learn to kind of lift each other up as moms. And I know I've said this before, but as women in general, like, I know, and I'm adding kids into the scenario because I feel like this literally takes this to a different level, having kids, because I have felt all these feelings before. But having children, like I said, has really taken this to a whole new level of exhaustion, of feeling of failure, of all these things, and again, people look at me and they're like, man, your kids are great. Like, how do you, and some people are going to hear this and be like, how does she feel like that? Her children are fantastic, or her business is doing great, or all these different, and I'm just like, I feel it just like every other person. Like, we feel those things. It's what we do with those emotions and how we take those emotions. I think that's what makes different people. But I really wanted to talk about this, about, just no mom shaming, because I hear it a lot. I think we should really only lift each other up as women, as mothers, because we have to, I don't want to say stick together, because it's really not that what that is. A lot of women talk bad about other women, and I'm tired of that. And I've been seeing some trends, on TikTok, especially one that has like, don't you hate it when girls, and it's like, no, I want to do that. No, I want to see more of that. And it's true. Anything that a woman does, I want to see more of. You know what I mean? Because that's just, my God, we're all empowering in itself, and we all are doing the best that we can. And to me, that's the most that we can do every day. As long as I went to bed saying I can do the most that I can, or I survived today. Some days it's not even the best that I can. Some days it's, you know what? I survived today, and that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day, and we'll try again tomorrow. And God, it's crazy, because one of the quotes, anything that I need to constantly remind myself of. And right now, my quote says, and again, if you're listening to this with children, I am so sorry. But I should have probably put the disclaimer at the beginning. But my quote is, breathe and remember who the F you are. And I'm not going to say it just in case, but breathe and remember who you are, right? It has a bad word in there, and it's so important for me to do that sometimes, to stop, to breathe, and just remember who I am. And that is the most empowering thing that I can do to myself, is reminding myself who I am, what I've done, and what I'm going to do. And I only say that story because I had a few weeks back an incident with one of my accountants who was taking care of my stuff. And all of a sudden, I was asking him a few questions because, right, that's what we pay accountants for, to know all the things that we do not know. And so I was asking him a few questions about different things. And then he sends me an email and he's like, I think that you should go and find a different accountant. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to ask a few questions. I'm not sure what the problem is. And it was like simple questions, like how to fill out, I mean, not simple, but it was things like about my like 1099s, like how do I fill out some forms that are important, that they were due. And his reply was literally like, no, I really think that you just need to find somebody else in general. And I was like, wait a minute, what did he just say to me? And it truly upset me. It upset me to the core, where like I had to take a few minutes and like regroup myself, because I could not understand why he was being so mean to me and why he wouldn't just answer the questions I sent him through email. I didn't even bother him. I didn't even try calling him. I didn't even try calling him once, by the way. It was literally through email, as I was asking questions, trying to figure out what I needed to put on these forms. Then I sent him everything, by the way, in the same, like, not, I want to say like at the same time, like I was asking him these questions, and he literally just replied to me back in that email. He's like, yeah, this is everything, but you should just find another accountant. So it wasn't even like I didn't figure it out. Like I had even sent it to him the same day, like within the same, not even hour, like, because he replies pretty quickly, but he just didn't really want to deal with me anymore. And it hurt me to my core. And then I'm sitting there and I'm trying to figure out, why is this hurting me so much? Like, why? After I let myself feel my feelings, because I'm totally about it. I'm like, if I'm not feeling it and I'm having one of those moments, like I kind of let myself feel it for a little bit, and then I get empowered again. And that's what I did. I don't know how long I spent doing those things. I guess it just really depends how I feel, but I let myself feel my feelings. And it was hard because, again, the kids are here, my husband's here, I have 1,000 things to do. It was the middle of the day. But I was so hurt by it. So I just sat there and I was upset. And then I was like, you know what? No. I need to sit back and remember who the hell I am. Who am I? Why the fuck did he talk to me like that? And now I need to just get my shit together, right? And now I'm like, that's the background on my phone. And every time I open it, I sit there and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to remember who the hell I am. Because, and that's not in an arrogant way. That's just in a, I can do this. I can do anything kind of way. No matter the day I'm having, I can handle it and I can do it. God never gives me anything that I cannot handle, you know? And that's the biggest thing that I have said to myself in a big portion of my life, especially with the twins. When I first got pregnant with the twins, I thought I was not going to be able to do this. And now I realize that God gave me twins because I could handle it and I can do it, you know? And as some days I don't feel like the best mother and I have mom guilt, and that I know it runs through all of us. And there was this quote, which I actually took a picture of and posted it because it's the truth. It's this quote I saw on Instagram. And it said, a woman can be in the worst position possible, and the only words you'll ever hear from her is, quote, I will figure it out. And I promise you that she's going to find a way. She might have a trillion breakdowns, but she is going to get through it. To all the women, your hard work does not go unnoticed. Keep striving. And it's true. As women, we always figure it out. We always find a way. At that moment, I might be asking questions. I might be trying to figure it out. I might be trying to get somebody to help me. But if, let's say, that plan A does not work, I promise you, even if I have to go to plan Z, I will find a way to figure it out. Because as women, we think about all the worst case scenarios and we can create plans, you know? And I think we all do this, you know? I mean, not that I think anything's going to happen between me and my husband, but I'm like, all right, what happens if I had to figure this out on my own? I hope I never do. But what happens if I do? What happens if my business goes down? What am I going to do with myself? You know what I mean? How am I going to make money? How am I going to provide for my family? You know, and so I think about all these different situations because I want to make sure that I have a plan for everything. And I'm not saying that that's not, I don't want to know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just me knowing that I can handle anything that comes my way. And I know as women, we all think about the different situations, and hopefully we all think about plans because I never want to be in a situation where I'm stuck. I never want to feel like I'm in a situation where I'm stuck. And so whether it's with work or whatever, I always want to make sure that I'm calm, cool, collected, and that I have a plan. And that's one of the things that I think that makes me a good wedding planner as is, because a lot of people are like, man, you strive in this industry. It's like you were meant to be a wedding planner. And again, if you've ever gotten married or been with me at a wedding, like you will see me in action and you will understand what I say when I say that. That's not even a cocky statement. It's more just I am good at what I do. I know I am. I can handle people's emotions. I can handle different situations on the spot. And I can make sure that everything is going to go flawless. So whether that's a wedding or any sort of thing that I'm putting on, I can do it, you know? And so that's just kind of my demeanor. I will always figure it out. I will always have a plan. And even in the moment, if I might be down, I promise you I'm going to come back stronger. And that's just kind of how I feel things. And, you know, I know a lot of you are like me. We feel like we have to do everything. We're overachievers. We're semi-masochistic, if one would like to say that, right? But we can do it, you know? And I see a lot of mom shaming out there, and I keep coming back to that because, man, I'm part of a few twin mom groups because there's different support groups that are out there that I used actually a lot while I was pregnant. I don't use a lot of them as much now, but I see the women, what they post. And anytime I have a woman that posts something that is not good, like she's talking about something that's mom shaming or some sort of mom guilt or something like that, I'm like, why? You know, like even it was today. One of the women on there posted, is anyone else exclusively breast pumping and then bottle feeding? She's like, I have mom guilt and I keep getting some shame coming around from family. And I'm like, why are people shaming this poor woman? She's doing the best that she can. Have you ever breastfed? You know what I mean? And I'm like, if you breastfed, then you understand. Whether you loved it or you didn't, you understand that it is a difficult and sacrificing thing that you have to do. So why would anybody shame someone who is doing the best that she can to provide for her kids and still do what she thinks is best for her? Because at the end of the day, that's all we're doing. We're doing what we think is best, not just for our kids, but also for us. We have to keep ourselves in the equation, because if not, then what happens to us? What happens to us? And that's a huge question. So I think at the end of the day, we all have to do whatever is best. We should not be talking bad about other women, about other moms. If I hear somebody say something like, oh, I cannot believe she did that with her kids, I'm like, do you even know? Like, do you even understand? Like, every kid is so different. You know, and every situation is so different. So yeah, you know, if that mom wants to turn on the TV for her kid, let her. Is it something that I would probably do? I don't know. Because you know what? I'm not in her situation. So when I hear somebody say, oh, you shouldn't do that with your kids, or you shouldn't do this with your kids, I'm like, F you? Can I say that? Because that's the reality, that I'm going to do whatever I think is best. I'm going to try and do as much as I can, and then we'll go from there. You know, like one of the things that I try to do for my kids is I try to make them their food here in the house. Every time they eat, I'm the one that tries to make the food. But some days I can't. And so some days they have compota. All right. And I got a super judging look from a family member not that long ago when I pulled out a compota bottle and was like, here, feed them this. And it's crazy because I got a super judging look from that older mother in the family. And then the younger moms in the group are like, yeah, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm like, exactly. And I'm like, why is she shaming me? She has no idea what it's like to be trying to do everything that I'm doing. And then plus we're on the move that day trying to go to a family event in which I had to pack up my whole life and everything that I needed for my twins for a whole entire day into my minivan. Because yes, I drive a minivan now with rims, you know, because it's semi-pimped out because my husband thought that would be a good idea. So it's a cool minivan, as he likes to call it. And so I had to pack my whole life into this car to be outside of the house for a whole day with the twins and to try to attempt to attend a family event with everything that I need. And yet she's shaming me because I brought a compota bottle and not homemade food. And I'm just like, really? So unless you're in the person's situation, unless you understand everything, don't mom shame. And even if you do, don't mom shame anyways. That's not okay. You know? Anytime we have, you know, something going on as women, we should be lifting each other up. We should be helping each other and not that, you know. And I know people are going to continue to judge you, and people judge me all the time. My family, I mean, I know a lot of women that their mother-in-laws judge them, their friends. And it's like, you know, and I can't even deny it because I think before I had kids, I'm pretty sure I made some bold statements, which I probably should not have made. So now having kids, I take back anything I ever said because the reality is that you really do not know and you do not understand unless you're in the situation 24/7, which that person is. And I'm getting tired of getting asked where my kids are while I'm working. My husband never gets asked that. But if I had $1 for every time somebody's like, oh, you have newborn twins, oh, that's so nice. Who are they with today while you work? And I'm like, with my husband, their father, not the sperm donor. Their father. And they're like, oh, he's so good. He takes care of them on his own. And I'm like, yeah, of course he does. As do I. We're not rich. We can't pay for a nanny 24/7. And so we both have had to learn to take care of the twins by ourselves. And it's like, I'm like, why do people ask me that? Why do people get all up in my business? What the hell do they care? Ain't nobody paying my bills. I don't got to answer to anybody. I'm the only one paying my bills, and my husband, of course. So, although this episode was a combination of mom shaming and feeling down and all these kinds of different things, I think they went hand in hand. But understanding that if you ever feel down, find a way to pick yourself back up, whatever that is. For me, it's journaling. For me, it's finding motivational quotes or different things that I can like fall back onto, or just reminding myself who the hell I am and what I've done and what I'm going to continue to do. And if you ever hear anybody mom shaming, or you think something, or you want to say something, or somebody says something to you, just don't let that affect you, because at the end of the day, we're all literally doing the best that we can. And so I hope that we continue to rise each other up, and do the best that we can as women and as mothers to raise this next generation to be absolutely amazing as they should be. So thank you for joining me on today's rant/episode of Boss Babies and Bottles as I go through just a few thoughts that I had in the last few weeks. So thank you, ladies, so much. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to chat with you guys soon. So make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to our next episode and follow my craziness on Instagram at EBJ Events and at canal.twins. I promise you, something's always happening.